Welcome, Bellator fans, to New York City. I'm Jimmy Smith, and I get to say something I've been waiting to say for a long time. Bellator MMA is coming at you from Madison Square Garden, home of champions and legends. And speaking of legends, two broadcasting legends are making their Bellator debuts tonight. Mike Goldberg, Mauro Ranallo. Mauro, you'll be joining me for the pay-per-view portion of the card.
Yeah, Jimmy, and no place I'd rather be than MSG tonight for my first night as a member of the Bellator MMA family. Can't wait for this party of pain to begin, my friend.
And Goldie, you'll be with me for Bellator 180, culminating in a title fight at 205.
And I called the first fight between Phil Davis and Ryan Bader. The fans have been amazing this week, and we are going to have a great show from right here inside the Mecca. So, here we go.
This is Spike Sports. Tonight, Bellator's biggest night ever, featuring legendary matchups and world title fights, kicks off from the Big Apple.
The night has arrived.
Where heavyweight champion Mr. Wonderful, Phil Davis, makes his first title defense.
The truth is, I'm the champion. I'm the best in the entire world.
In a highly anticipated rematch with Bellator newcomer Ryan Bader.
I want to go out there and finish Phil Davis. I'm going to have the belt for a long time.
Plus, undefeated Irish phenom James Gallagher.
I'm going to strangle you!
Battles Shinzo Machida.
Man, that was quick!
It's a world championship night.
From the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden.
Presented by Miller Lite, this is Bellator 180. Davis versus Bader. Live from New York City on Spike.
Opened on February 11th, 1968. It is the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. And for the very first time in Bellator history, we are inside the Mecca, where later tonight, it's the most stacked pay-per-view card of 2017. But first, right here, we are live on Spike with the rematch between Phil Davis and Ryan Bader with the Bellator Light Heavyweight Championship on the line. Hi, everybody. It is great to be back. It is great to be beside Jimmy Smith. We have a great night for you. 3 titles, Jimmy, on the line in the Bellator cage this evening. 2 of those on pay-per-view. Michael Chandler and also Douglas Lima looking to defend this evening.
You talk about free agency, you talk about fighters coming over. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
The Bellator's fighters want to show that this is their house. Douglas Lima taking on Lawrence Larkin. A lot of people are calling that fight of the night. Incredibly talented strikers. Michael Chandler has looked nothing short of dominant since winning the title. Brent Primus, though, up and coming, hungry, almost like a young Michael Chandler. He needs a performance like the one Chandler had against Alvarez to win the title tonight.
Well, if anybody has earned the right to fight tonight inside Madison Square Garden, it's the longtime member of the Bellator roster. It's certainly Michael Chandler. Matt Mitrione, well, kidney stone, well, that's why they didn't fight a couple of months ago, but it will happen tonight. Fedor in the Bellator cage against Matt Mitrione, and oh, that other fight, Wanderlei Silva, Chael Sonnen.
Wanderlei and Chael, bad blood isn't strong enough. This is hatred that has been brewing for years between these guys. Chael Sonnen has done nothing but fan the flames, because that's what he does as the American gangster. Wanderlei Silva fighting emotionally. Well, guess what? That's how he's always fought.
Wanderlei Silva's attack tonight will be vicious. He will be looking for the knockout. Chael Sonnen, Wanderlei Silva. They will be one of 2 main events later tonight on pay-per-view. And it's great to be here, and it's great to have a crew of many bringing you the biggest night in Bellator history. So let's go up to the desk and check in with Mauro Ranallo.
Thank you very much, Goldie. So excited to be here at the Mecca of Combat Sports, Madison Square Garden. So excited to be joined by, well, two vets right here. We've got a former UFC vet, stand-up comedian, Prince of Podcasts. This guy's a renaissance man. Brendan Schaub, former Strikeforce lightweight champion, UFC vet, current Bellator MMA lightweight Josh Thompson. And guys, they're going to run it back tonight. Ryan Bader making his Bellator MMA debut against Phil Davis for Davis's Bellator light heavyweight crown. Davis 4-0 in the Bellator MMA cage, making the maiden voyage as champion after usurping Liam McGeary. What's it going to take for Mr. Wonderful to defend, Josh?
It's going to take a lot tonight. He's going to have to get his wrestling started off very quickly, start to push the pace on Ryan Bader. He told me when we were in the meetings the other day that, look, his whole idea is he started slow last time. This time he's going to start with the fast pace right off the bat. Here we go with the highlights. Look at this. Phil Davis with great knockouts here. But what he needs to do is not get caught up in the exchanges with Ryan Bader. He needs to get his wrestling started just like he did right there. Start imposing his will from the very beginning. Get on top. Start laying the damage. Hopefully the submission will start to open up.
And of course, Brendan, the first time these two met was at 4 a.m. in Sweden in the UFC Octagon, January 2015. Even they will tell you that they hope the sequel is more Godfather 2 than Dumb and Dumber 2 because, let's face it, that was not a memorable fight. They're looking to make it a memorable night, and Ryan Bader making his Bellator MMA debut. What's it going to take for him to become champion?
Yeah, I can guarantee you it's going to be a better fight. That's an easy guarantee to make. You know, everyone's talking about how much better Phil has gotten. Ryan Bader has gotten a whole lot better himself. He's a knockout artist now. He's coming off a lot of wins, and now there's a lot of pressure on Ryan to perform tonight. Yeah, he has to win over Phil, but not only is Phil a different person, but Ryan has to prove that he's a different fighter as well. So right now, I feel like Bader's a lot more comfortable on his feet. He's putting combinations together, and Phil keeps harping on how he's going to break Ryan Bader. Phil, what if you don't break him? What if you do not break Ryan Bader? Then what? Then what's your game plan? Bader's not easy to take down or break. So I like Bader in this fight. I really do. I like his chances, his takedown defense, his power. It's going to be a fun fight.
It's Ryan Bader's first fight here in Madison Square Garden and in Bellator, and it's for the title. I think it's going to be too much for him tonight against Phil Davis.
It is
Phil's first fight in Madison Square Garden as well.
Hey, we're just getting started. We're going to have a lot of time, my man. A lot of mic time tonight, boys. Hey, coming up, it is the main event of Bellator 180 live on Spike. Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis, defending the light heavyweight crown against Bellator MMA newcomer Ryan Bader. Let's go to the other member of our broadcast team, Jen Brown.
Well, thanks, Mauro. I can tell you that I talked to both Ryan Bader and Phil Davis. They told me what you guys just said. It will not be a replay of their last fight. Now, for Bader, he says, look, I've got new coaches. They've given me a new game plan on how to attack Phil Davis, the champ. What he told me, he said, hey, look, I'm coming out early. I want to test his cardio immediately out of the gate. I want to push the pace. I want to make round 1 feel like round 3. That's some strong words there by our champ Davis, but what I can tell you is they both said we will see a different fighter tonight. That fight will be later on in the show, but first, it's the flyweights. That's right, it's the MMA debut of pro undefeated boxer Heather Hardy. She's taking on Alice Yager, and to kick things off, let's head out to Michael C. Williams.
And now, your first fighter ready to make her way to the cage, Alice Yager.
Her nickname, Soccer Mom. Her second fight inside the Bellator cage. She made her debut back in January. She has a boxing background, Jimmy, but nothing like the boxing background of her opponent tonight.
But when you asked her about this fight, the strategy she was going to use, she said, yeah, I'm going to go toe-to-toe and throw. We all kind of looked at each other like, I don't have the best strategy. We'll see if she sticks to it.
Alice Soccer Mom Yager.
And now set to make her way to the cage, Heather Hardy.
Alice Yager said that after the Holly Holmes and some other very successful female boxers that Heather Hardy actually re-energized the sport of boxing for women. Very respectful of Heather, but you said an interesting thing to me. You said, Goldie, she's got nice hands, but no MMA experience, so the rest of her game is a mystery.
A complete mystery. That's the X factor in this fight, is how good is her jiu-jitsu? How good is her defensive wrestling? Can she keep the fight on the feet? Can she deal with kicks? Those are all serious questions. Let's not also bring up the fact that her debut is at MSG. It's a lot of nerves.
Yeah, and she's born and raised just across the Brooklyn Bridge. Excited to fight here inside the Mecca. 35-year-old Heather Hardy. Making her professional debut in the Bellator cage here at MSG. Our Tale of the Tape is brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
What else can you highlight? 4-5 versus a pro debuter, Alice Yager. Much more MMA experience.
All right, let's get it started officially with Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Tonight, live on Spike, Miller Lite presents the New York debut of Bellator MMA. From Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, Bellator 180 begins now with flyweights inside the cage set for 3 5-minute rounds, brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. And now, introducing the blue corner first. At 5'4", she weighed in 125.6 pounds. Her professional record stands at 4-5, fighting out of Fort Worth and hailing from Burleson, Texas. Introducing Alice, the Soccer Mom Yager. And across the cage, her adversary, fighting out of the red corner at 5'5", weighing in 125.2 pounds. An undefeated champion in professional boxing. Tonight, she makes her professional MMA debut, fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, presenting Heather the Heat Hardy. In charge of the action, your referee, Big John McCarthy.
Big John McCarthy, our referee, as we get things started live on Spike. Heather Hardy, Alice Yager.
You ready? Get up.
Here we go. Tonight's Fight Clock brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Cheers. It's Miller time. Yager in the blue gloves, Hardy in the white top and in the red gloves.
Yager staying true to her word. She's stepping forward and throwing.
Immediately, she comes out as the aggressor. I'll clinch early.
Yeah, how Heather Hardy deals with this position will tell us a lot. So far, she's doing well, and she's out of it.
We know one thing. She is a tough young lady, and she showed it throughout her boxing career. She was a grinder. She said, I didn't box like a Holly Holm. I was a grinder. I was an in-your-face type fighter. She was called it, once in a while, the female Arturo Gatti. That's another battle.
That's a compliment, for sure.
But right now, Yager bringing it.
And what she's throwing now are a lot of overhand rights. She's tagged Yager with a couple of those. There's another one a little bit straighter.
To the body. Let's see if Heather Hardy starts throwing kicks or if it's just the hands. Very dangerous hands.
If you're a boxer, you stick with what's working. Right now, the hands are working.
Yes.
Put on blues due to a punch.
What we haven't seen from Yager is a level change, any attempt at a takedown. She's tried to clinch a bit. That's going to put her right in punching range. She's trying to get in there.
That was a nice counter by Alice Yager with the right hand. There's the kick from Hardy.
The right hand over the top. She's catching Yager, bringing that left hand down. See when she starts throwing, it goes down to her waist.
Nice jab.
Every time Yager has thrown the right hand, she drops that left. And that right hand is always going to meet it. Every time she sees that opening, she's taking advantage of it with the right.
Cut over the left eye of Alice Yager.
Nice left hook.
And immediately the jab works again. Jimmy, Heather Hardy was very precise in telling us the difference between boxing and utilizing your boxing in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, people think you just have to add wrestling or jiu-jitsu and you'll have the complete package. The way you box in MMA, the way you use kickboxing in MMA is very different. Have to make those adjustments. The range is different. The weapons your opponent has are different. And she respects that. She really does.
You said the way you stand, your front leg, your distance, how much you commit. You can't lean on your opponent. So she knows that, and she's trained it. Now she's trying to show it.
Heather Hardy showing a lot of confidence. Look how she's dropping that left hand all the way down by her waist. She's relying on her ability to read the punches of Yager. Nice knee.
Watch full Bellator fights on the Spike app on iOS, Android, Roku, and now available on Apple TV.
Now Yager's had her moments. She's landed some of her own punches. She did a good job with that knee, but she hasn't quite strung together her attacks yet. Hardy's been a lot busier and more accurate. She's trying to throw that knee to catch Hardy extended when she throws her punches. You see how she leans over her leg a little bit?
Yep.
That's why Yager keeps throwing that knee, trying to catch her extended. Not able to capitalize.
She did. She tried to. There's some Muay Thai from Alice Yager. She's trying to show Heather Hardy things that maybe Heather Hardy hasn't seen. She hasn't seen it professionally, obviously, but in training.
Right. You want to show her everything but boxing.
And it's different once you actually walk into the cage.
What is it? Everybody's got a plan until they get hit?
That's it.
But neither fighter is fighting intimidated. They're both going after it. Yager by her opponent. Heather Hardy by the big lights.
Oh, she got caught.
Great.
But Hardy's bloodied up too, Jimmy.
Yes. Both of them have had their moments.
Over the top. Good start. Wow, great to be here inside Madison Square Garden. They're bringing it tonight.
Nice block of that, huh?
Great to be here. Mercedes, Lindsay, our Bellator girls. This is the biggest night in Bellator history. Mike Goldberg, Jimmy Smith, Jen Brown, Laura Rinaldo, Brendan Schaub, Josh Thompson, and a couple other 100 people bringing it. Gotta love it. Everybody excited, Jimmy. Clinch early. Heather Hardy's corner said no more kicks. She doesn't need to utilize kicks, they said. Just use your hands. Look for the count.
Yeah, and they've been at punching range most of this fight. I agree with that advice. No need to overextend yourself like that. Oh, that was a good kick. Alice Yager has basically been willing to engage her at punching range. Yager, I think, has figured out I need to get a little unorthodox through the knees and kicks a little bit more. She started out throwing punches. I think she learned her lesson with that one.
Oh, another good counter by Yager. It was a very close first 5 minutes, Jimmy. How'd you score it?
I gave it 10-9 Hardy because I thought she was a little more accurate with her punches. Landed some good overhand rights. She just did a little bit more damage. But make no mistake, Yager had her moments there. She's got to string it together and get an offensive sequence that really works for her. She's great in spurts, but she has to put it together. Maybe going back to that clinch would be a good idea. She was throwing some brutal knees in round one.
She's definitely one of the toughest soccer moms in the world.
That's true.
Believe it or not, she once weighed over 200 pounds when she began her MMA training back in May of 2013. Her husband, Brian, in the corner tonight, a brown belt in judo.
which there has really been money for Heather Hardy, that overhand right.
And Yager said to us, Jimmy, that all 9 of her MMA fights have all been battles. They've been wars. They've been like this pace.
The Middleton fight, that was a war as well. On the losing end of that, but man, she put everything into it.
Her Bellator debut back in January. Whoa, big swing and a miss. Or did she just clip her because there's some blood on the cheek now?
She clipped her with that straight right. Yep. Came after the overhand. It might be a good strategy is hit her with a different kind of right hand. She's been throwing these windmill rights. She tightens up a little bit. It's possible Yager won't be able to see it.
Brooklyn's Hardy, the favorite here in Madison Square Garden. She is boxed at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. As she comes forward, just past the midway point of this fight. And she's swinging. Good kick.
Surprised Yager doesn't lean more on those leg kicks. She's been so willing to exchange punches with Heather Hardy.
Yager went as far, Jimmy, is saying, okay, they're 3-minute rounds of boxing. She hasn't been involved in 5-minute rounds.
True. That is a difference, but I'm telling you, she's been training for 5-minute rounds.
For a long time.
Yes.
She said, I come from a long line of really tough women. Don't forget, 10 in the East, 7 in the West. We are live on pay-per-view, 2 title fights, including Michael Chandler and Brent Prince.
What we haven't seen from Yager is that level change. Double leg, single leg, high crotch attack. She's kind of pushing forward to get the clinch. She's eating some punches, trying to get in with that nice right hand. That's where you counter a leg kick if you're not used to it. Checking takes a long time to learn. The first thing you teach somebody who doesn't have Muay Thai experience, they kick, you punch. Checking takes a while to get.
This is exactly how a show should start inside the Mecca.
Exactly.
Heather Hardy fought 132 professional rounds in her boxing career. Under a minute here. Good right.
Another good right. Still finding a home for it.
Right down on her mouthpiece. Watch it. Yager with the clinch. Nice knee. Answer.
One of the problems is that Heather Hardy has done a good job of pushing Yager back with her punches. Where that clinch would really be effective is if she can get Heather Hardy against the fence, limit her ability to get out and really lay on those knees. And so far, that really hasn't been an option.
Ooh. Second round in the books.
So much of this fight at boxing range, and that has been great for Heather Hardy. She's found an opening for the overhand right over and over and over again.
Third and final round. Hardy's corner said, do not brawl. Don't get into a brawl with her. Yager's corner, Jimmy said, we got to treat this round like we need to finish Heather Hardy.
I completely agree. I have her down 2 rounds to none, both of them 10-9. She's had her moments, but Heather Hardy has done more damage.
Brooklyn zone getting the love.
Here's one thing Heather Hardy keeps doing. She keeps popping out of range. She keeps slipping and sliding. She's doing a great job at slipping punches, but when she does, she's so far out of range she can't return. She needs to slip and be a little bit closer so she can counterattack.
That, though, is the adjustment from pure boxing to MMA.
Exactly. And look at the volume. Hardy just busier. She's throwing a lot more. She's throwing better combinations. See that right there? She slipped the punch, but she's not quite in range to throw a counter shot. She's a little too far out. Make them miss, make them pay.
Yep. Slip and rip.
Yep, she's doing a great job of getting out of the way, but she's not quite in return range.
The main reason for that, Jimmy, is because every time they go to the clinch, it seems like, here, Yager gets the better of Hardy.
But she hasn't been able to get it to the floor, hasn't been able to really capitalize. She's easily out.
Again, aggressive Heather Hardy with the big swing. Changing levels now. The American gangster, Chael Sonnen, takes on bitter rival, the axe murderer, Vanderlei Silva. Fedor Emelianenko battles Matt Mitrione and Bellator champions Douglas Lima and Michael Chandler put their gold on the line. It's Bellator NYC tonight at 10 in the East, 7 in the West. Live on pay-per-view. Order right now. Third round. And again, Hardy in the red gloves going over the top.
Yager's not moving her head enough. She's not keeping that left hand high. She's not closing that door to the right hand. That's why Heather Hardy keeps walking through it.
There's the knee again.
But they've been fewer and further between as the rounds have progressed.
Which has a lot to do with the damage that Hardy's putting on Yager.
Come back to that right hand.
Oh, nice switch kick.
Good job keeping that right hand up. Always tough fighters. Keep your hands up. You don't have to see everything.
There you go.
You don't have to read every strike.
Yeah, that hands down, chin up is never a good way to defend against strikes.
Unless you are Roy Jones fast, I suggest you don't do that.
90 seconds.
You saw that reaching grab, no level change on that, no commitment to the double leg. It's easy for Heather Hardy to just shrug that off.
Such great combat sports history inside this building. And when we asked Alice Yager about fighting here, she said, well, I'm a big Billy Joel fan.
That's exactly what she said.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
All right, good, great. Piano Man, fantastic.
Yep. He has fought here more, or pardon me, planned here more.
It's going to be all right.
Than Elton John. The most ever.
Bad cut.
Big
Bill, we
cut.
got time.
Wow, depending on where that is, that might be a fight stopper. Just here, it's a headbutt.
It's all right, don't worry about it, okay? I just want you to look at it with some
Yeah, that's a headbutt.
Yep.
Now, did Big John see that? As we can see, it was clearly a headbutt, but that's the difference between a loss and a win, is whether or not he saw that that was a headbutt. I didn't hear him tell
Good, okay, thank you.
the judges.
We're good.
They're going to keep going. It doesn't
Stay right
matter.
there. Get a clash of heads.
Yeah, he saw it. You just told him, clash of heads.
Okay? Come over here. Come over here. Look at that was a clash of heads that caused that. It wasn't your fault. Okay, be careful with your head inside, okay? Are we ready? Fight.
Right back at it. Right to the center of the cage. Under a minute remains.
Yager looks like she's energized by that cut. A good combination by Hardy. Good right hand. She could have finished her right there if she had gone after her. She's still wobbly.
That's that boxer mentality.
Yeah.
Get back up. Where's the 8 count? 30 seconds.
Yager's just holding on now. Big John is very, very close to stopping this.
Hardy with the barrage of punches. Heather Hardy. It is all over. Heather Hardy wins her professional debut.
What an awesome sequence at the end after the cut. Yager looked like she was going in with more energy, and Heather Hardy stops her in her tracks. Great stuff.
Jimmy, take a look at it. Our Blackheart Premium Spiced Rum Replay. The bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
The right hand had been money all night for Heather Hardy. Bang! Look at it here, right on the chin. Yager gets up wobbly. She never got her legs back under her. As soon as she pops up, you knew she was hurt. And Heather Hardy, with her boxing experience, was not about to let Yager off the hook. Big John McCarthy all over this, just waiting for the right time to step in. And this right hand right here, bang, he saw enough. And that is all she wrote. The boxer, appropriately enough, finishes it with punches on the feet. Great job, great MMA debut, great way to start off Bellator 180.
We will be back with the official decision. That is coming up next, right here on Spike. Born and raised in Brooklyn. Look at the reaction. Heather Hardy, winner in her pro debut by knockout. She was very busy, as Jimmy talked about, threw nearly 300 punches to make it official. Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, referee Big John McCarthy steps in, waves off the contest due to unanswered strikes. Official time, 4 minutes, 47 seconds into round number 3. The winner by TKO, Heather the Heat Hardy.
Here's Jimmy with Heather.
I'm here with a very happy Heather Hardy. Were you thinking, what's it gonna take to put her away? Alice Yager was in your face the entire time.
She sure was. I was like, oh my gosh, my hands were hurting from hitting her.
When she went down here, did you realize how badly she was hurt? It was almost like you were waiting for an 8 count, but you got up and went after her.
But I knew she had to get back up, and I wanted to keep punching her, so make her stand back up.
Your MMA debut, Madison Square Garden, in front of your hometown crowd. What do you have to say to them?
Yo. Guys, everybody knows the toughest girls on the planet are from Brooklyn, New York, and we showed them tonight.
Can't wait to see you again, Heather Hardy, ladies and gentlemen.
My hands are hurting from hitting her. How good is that? Heather Hardy, victorious in her professional MMA debut. Bellator fans, you want the same gear the fighters wear? Head to BellatorShop.com now for all your official Bellator MMA merch. After the break, Mauro Ranallo, Brendan Schaub, and Josh Thompson will break down tonight's 2 title fights on our pay-per-view. And later in our main event, Phil Davis, 4-0 in the Bellator cage, looks to defend his light heavyweight championship against the Season 8 Ultimate Fighter winner right here on Spike, Ryan Darth Bader. They will collide later tonight. Bellator MMA, presented by Miller Lite, live on Spike, is brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
And we have a new world champion.
His heart, his guts, his championship will.
He won in one moment, and that one moment has made him a world champion.
No doubt, definitive. He is the champ once again. We are at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, where the Bellator MMA Championship banners are hanging for the first time. The Parade of Champions continuing tonight. A total of 3 title fights coming your way, including 2 championship bouts live on a pay-per-view. And gentlemen, it promises to be a smorgasbord of strikes when Douglas Lima, who holds the record for the most knockouts in Bellator MMA history with 8, defends his welterweight crown against Bellator MMA newcomer, a dynamic striker in Lorenz Larkin, the Strikeforce and UFC vet. What is it going to take for Lima to maintain his hold on the gold?
Douglas Lima has to get his kicks going right from the very beginning. This guy has power in both hands. As we were talking earlier, he holds power in both hands to the point of he holds the record for the most knockouts in Bellator. Okay, this is Brendan Schaub's fight of the night.
And it's true, it is my fight of the night. And the reason why it's my fight of the night is because Larkin he's battle tested. He's beat Jorge Masvidal, Robbie Lawler, Neil Magny. He's been with some of the toughest guys in the world, and he is one tough puzzle to solve. I don't know if Lima can do it. I really don't.
Well, Douglas Lima, of course, who has defeated Andre Koreshkov to become the champion for a second time, avenging one of his only 2 losses, Josh.
Look at this. I'm not telling you, he's got power in both hands. Boom, right hand right there. Here, boom, left hook right there. That's the type of power you're going to see tonight. If he lands one of those on Larkin's chin tonight, night is over. I think if he gets the kick started early, okay, it opens up the striking, and that's what you're going to see from Lima tonight.
Lima 10-2 in the Bellator cage, looking to violently welcome Lorenz Larkin. Meanwhile, for the lightweights, the poster boy of Bellator, a man who was involved in the most memorable fight in Bellator MMA history going back to 2011. It was Michael Chandler, Eddie Alvarez, and boy, did they light each other up like Times Square.
Yeah, you know, Michael Chandler's a guy where he has faced some of the toughest 155ers in the world, and he always seems to pass the test. Ben Henderson, the Eddie Alvarez matchups, these are some classic fights. And tonight, as big as the stage as Madison Square Garden is, I like Michael Chandler. I know you love Prius. I know he's a bigger guy. But Chandler is one of those guys, he always shows up to fight.
Look, I can't knock Michael Chandler, man. The guy's the face of Bellator MMA. I'm letting you guys know that right now. You guys know. But here's the only thing that I have. Primus is hungry. Look how big this guy is. We saw with the weigh-ins. He's looking down on Chandler at the weigh-ins. Look at this. Look at those arms. Look at that back. My point is that he's going to end up pressing Chandler, I think, to the fence, try to wear Chandler down a little bit. The other thing quickly is that Michael Chandler doesn't know how to pace himself with a bigger guy. That poses problems.
I'm going to tell him he said that. I'm going to tell him he said that.
2 Bellator MMA championship fights are coming your way tonight live on pay-per-view. A total of 3 title fights coming your way here at Madison Square Garden. But coming up next, a brash Irishman, one of the training partners of Conor McGregor, the notorious one, James Gallagher, at 20 years old, is looking for another victory tonight, and he faces a guy twice his age, the 40-year-old brother of former UFC light heavyweight champion Lyoto Machida. Chinzo Machida takes on James Gallagher next.
Bellator MMA, presented by Miller Lite, live on Spike, is brought to you by Blackheart Premium Spiced Rum. Bold, 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core. The hub of the Broadway Theater District, Times Square, is one of the world's most visited tourist attractions, drawing an estimated 50 million visitors annually. And it's just 9 blocks from Madison Square Garden. Bellator MMA, presented by Miller Lite, is brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. Set for our matchup between James Gallagher and Chinzo Machida, who will fight for the 3rd time inside the Bellator cage. So far, he's knocked out both opponents.
And now, set to make his way to the cage, Chinzo Machida.
How good is this song?
Always appropriate.
Absolutely.
Always appropriate.
The Cobra Kai is alive. And so is Machida Karate. And it was really interesting in talking to Chinzo, and he gave us the whole lifeline of how Lyoto, wanted to do Valley Tudo when they were young, and Mom said, no, you have to go to university first. But really, in summation, he said that he stayed in the karate world, and now they're taking Machida Karate and kind of broadening it Jimmy, so that it can be utilized in MMA and in the real world.
Yeah, and they've adapted it so well. They're so elusive. They're so hard to hit. They set such great traps with their footwork through a lot of things you don't see much of in traditional Muay Thai and boxing. Outstanding stuff.
So far, so good for 40-year-old Shinzo Machida. 2 knockout finishes inside the Bellator cage.
And what I like about it is they were unexpected. The uppercut against Navarro, against Ocampo, he was losing that fight. I think it was finished or he was done, and he lands the right hand and he finishes the fight. Remember that. He's great at the late comeback. Doesn't matter what's happening.
He said, I've been helping my brother for so many years. I finally had to really do it myself. And here he is, 5 professional wins, 4 by knockout.
Now making his way to the cage, the strap animal, James Gallagher.
He is the youngest male fighter on the Bellator roster, a month younger than Aaron Pico, who we will see later tonight on pay-per-view. James Gallagher. Yes, he does train in Ireland at SBG, and yes, he does train with Conor McGregor.
I think he answers more questions about Conor McGregor than he does about his own fights, his own fighting style. But
I think he's used to it.
Oh, he's so used to it by now.
I love what he said, though, and he was upbeat, he was loose. He acted like a 20-year-old when we talked to him.
That youthful energy,
yes.
He brings that everywhere he goes, whether it's an interview or whether it's into the cage. He really is excited to be here. It's infectious.
He said, I don't get enough credit for my striking. I'm 20 years old, I'm young, I don't care. You know, he said he's been here 10 days, it's been a good vibe. He said in this fight, he believes that Machida will get frustrated and angry, and he will be calm and laughing.
That's a bold statement because it's hard to make Machida emotional. It's not hard to make Gallagher emotional.
That is a great point.
And against Anthony Taylor, we saw what he does best. His submission game is outstanding. Took the back, finished it with a rear naked choke. And against Kirill Medvedovsky, hey, it ended the same way, but don't let that fool you. He was owning Medvedovsky on the feet. Great kickboxing, great range. That was a real switch in that fight. We saw the striking that he's capable of.
Gallagher 6-0 as a professional, 3-0 in his young Bellator career. Our tale of the tape is brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
And Shinzo Machida at 40 has T-shirts older than James Gallagher, I bet.
And old DVDs and VHS tapes and many other things. Here is Michael C. Williams.
Live on Spike from the Mecca of combat sports, Madison Square Garden. Bellator MMA presented by Miller Lite now goes to 3 5-minute rounds in the featherweight division. Introducing the blue corner at 5'9", weighing in 146 pounds even. As a professional, 5 wins, 2 losses from Belém, Brazil. He fights out of Los Angeles, California, Shinzo Machida. And across the cage, his adversary, fighting out of the red corner at 5'9", weighing in 144.4 pounds. The undefeated professional enters tonight with 6 professional victories, no defeats, proudly hailing from and fighting out of Strabane, Ireland, presenting James the Strabane Gallagher. In charge of the action, referee Rob Hines.
So Rob Hines, our referee, as the 20-year-old meets the 40-year-old here at Madison Square Garden. Shinzo Machida and James Gallagher. Here we go. Fight Clock brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Cheers. It's Miller time. Gallagher came out running.
But he didn't engage with strikes. He's not going to run into something, one of those kicks, one of those uppercuts. He ran across and then took his time.
He's 6-0, 5 of his wins by submission, all by choke. 4 in the first round. So he may feel confident striking with Machida, but he's got an excellent ground game. Both men do.
One thing to keep in mind is Gallagher has a background in karate. He's used to the stances, he's used to the kicks and the angles. He said, I don't really fight much like that anymore, but I know how to do it.
Chinzo with the kick and follows it up.
Diving in for the takedown, he gets it.
Machida, Shotokan Karate black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
I was able to train with Gallagher last time I was in London, and he has great fundamentals. He really knows where to put his weight. Excellent transitions right there to full mount.
That was quick.
Yeah, I was impressed by his fundamentals, his technique.
He has spent a lot of time training with Gunnar Nelson in Iceland, and that is a great partner to work on your ground game with.
There's a lot of time on the clock. You don't want to be in a bad position with 3:30 left to go in the round.
Let's see what Gallagher does from here and how patient he is.
Machida trying to sneak out on his left side. You got to put your back to the mat. You see how Gallagher's trying to pull him over to the right. That's his key to negate that. Now body triangle. Gallagher, very long legs. Machida's cut around the left eye.
You can see some of the blood on the canvas and continuous strikes from young James Gallagher. Chinzo just trying to cover up. This is his move. Rear naked choke in round 1.
Using strikes just to set it up, just to get Chinzo Machida's chin back. He got it.
It is all over. James Gallagher once again by rear naked choke.
Some people might have expected him to win this fight, but not in such a dominant fashion. That was a wipeout for Gallagher. Wow. Against the guy who had looked great in Bellator, who had won by knockout, that meant nothing to this kid.
His first professional fight in North America, and he finishes it in the first round by rear naked choke. Take a look at it on our Blackheart Premium Spiced Rum Replay. The Volt 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
So patient on the back, just using those short strikes. Look how it pops his head back. It pops the forehead of Chinzo Machida back just enough to get that arm underneath the chin. And what you hear, it is good night.
And he's showing some love in the crowd. Friends and family coming in from Ireland, Northern Ireland. What a moment for the 20-year-old James Gallagher. Third straight Bellator win by rear naked choke.
And look at this technique. Beautiful body triangle. Excellent job extending Machida. Not able to get his chin to his chest. Rear naked choke is all about the hips, not necessarily the arms. And look at the pressure he's putting on the waist of Chinzo Machida. And once you're here touching both of your shoulders, that is all she wrote. It is tap or nap at that point. Chinzo Machida made the smart move, but man, that's an impressive performance for a young kid like James Gallagher. Patient, mature, excellent stuff.
Youngest male fighter on the Bellator roster, moves to 4-0 inside the Bellator cage. The reaction of the family, they're loving what they just saw. The win by the young man from Ireland. We are at 34th and 7th, Madison Square Garden, home tonight to the world famous Bellator cage. Michael C. Williams, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tap comes by way of a rear naked choke. Official time, 2 minutes, 22 seconds into round number 1. The winner by submission, still undefeated, James the Strap Animal Gallagher.
Jimmy will visit with the youngster.
I'm here with your winner, James Gallagher. James, there's confidence, and then there's sprinting across the cage confidence. Everything looked like you wanted a first-round finish.
I'm always here for the first round finish. When I say I do, I always come and do. Every time.
You said more people were coming over to watch you in this fight than when you fought in the UK. Did you feel the support out there?
Just listen to this crowd. Look at that. There's colors everywhere. This is my place.
Deep division, a lot of names at 145, any of them on your radar?
Look up there at that place. Next time you come back here, my picture's going up there with that belt over my shoulder.
You heard it, Pitbull. He's coming for the belt.
Big Bird, get the fry on. I'm coming home tomorrow to celebrate.
James Gallagher, ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand.
I love the enthusiasm. I think his teammate Conor McGregor once said that he owns his building, but they can work that stuff out back in Ireland. Congratulations, 20-year-old James Gallagher. All right, here's what's coming up inside the Bellator cage. Benson Henderson battles Pitbull, and Roy Nelson makes his Bellator debut against Javi Ayala, who is coming up a 16-second knockout of Sergey Karatarov. That is Saturday, September 23rd in San Jose. In August, we are upstate in Verona, where 4 of the top welterweights on the Bellator roster will collide. And our next fight card features the rubber match. Brandon Gertz, Derek Campos 3. Kendall Grove fights John Salter, who has won 5 straight and is the #2 ranked Bellator middleweight. And Bellator's newest member of the women's flyweight division, Valerie Letourneau, makes her debut against Emily Ducote. And here is trouble with Jen Brown.
Thanks, Goldie. That's right. I'm here with the newest addition to the flyweight roster, Valerie. We just saw that incredible fight there. Heather Hardy, big knockout over Alice Yager. I got to assume watching that's got to get you excited about coming over here to Bellator.
Absolutely. I can't wait for my debut. That was an exciting fight, and I have 3 more weeks to go and to start my UFC debut.
All right, we're looking forward to seeing you against Emily Ducote, July 14th in Oklahoma. Let's talk about that. What can fight fans expect from you two next month?
Look, I'm fighting Emily Ducote. She's a well-rounded fighter. I'm pretty excited to fight her. She's from the same team as me. I like the girl, but I can promise you one thing, we're going to put on a show.
We cannot wait to see that. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you make your Bellator debut. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, Goldie, back over to you.
Jen, thank you very much. Valerie Letourneau, born and raised in Montreal, trains at American Top Team with a couple of champions, Amanda Nunes and Joanna Jedrzejczyk. All right, fans, Spike's Veterans Operation Wellness and Bellator have teamed up to create VOW fights, inspiring veterans to make the same commitment to their health and wellness that they made to their country. Tonight, 2 veterans and MMA fighters get the opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to fight here at Madison Square Garden.
My name's Nate Greb, Navy.
Bradley Desir, United States Marine Corps. I was in a warfighting unit. MMA, it was just a natural progression.
It's kept me physically fit. It's kept me focused on goals.
I'm from right here, from New York City. Everybody who's anybody has fought at Madison Square Garden. It doesn't get any bigger.
Time to get focused, time to represent the gym and lead by example. If you work hard, anything's possible.
I don't think it's really gonna hit me until I'm in the locker room, fans cheering.
I vow to fight in
Bellator 180. What's your vow?
Veterans Operation Wellness. What's your vow?
Marine Corps veteran and New York City native Bradley Desir squares off against Navy vet Nate Greb in the latest installment of VOW Fights. Desir in the red gloves, Nate Greb in the blue gloves.
And Desir
from the beginning, trying to get his striking game going, landing big shots, especially with the right hand. Greb not having any answer, fell to the floor face down, and then the finish up knockout. The jab set it up, right, left, and then this right was the coup de grace. It is all over.
It is indeed all. That's
yeah, I took that. I took that. I don't even feel bad.
Right. You don't feel bad, do you? Congratulations to Bradley Desir. Don't forget, later tonight, 10 in the East, 7 in the West. We are live on pay-per-view. 2 title fights. Chandler looks to defend. Lima looks to defend. 2 main events. Chael Sonnen and Vanderlei Silva, Fedor, and Matt Mitrione. And up next, later on Spike, our main event, Phil Davis, the 4-time All-American wrestler, national champion from Penn State, looks to defend his Bellator light heavyweight belt when he faces Arizona State All-American wrestler Ryan Bader, who won the first fight back in Sweden by split decision. Bellator MMA, presented by Miller Lite, live on Spike, is brought to you by KFC's new spicy, crispy Zinger chicken sandwich. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Bellator 180 rolls on here in the Big Apple. We are at the Mecca of combat sports, Madison Square Garden, and what a night it has already been. Bellator MMA, brought to you by Dave and Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. And coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific, live and only on pay-per-view, Bellator NYC. It's about legends, it's about champions, and it's about one of the most talked about prospects in mixed martial arts. Order now and be a part of history. Bellator NYC. Mauro Ranallo back here with the boys, Brendan Schaub and Josh Thompson. Terrific night of fights thus far, but we are going to culminate the evening on pay-per-view with a good old-fashioned grudge match. It's not about championships, it's about pride and punishment as Chael Sonnen and Vanderlei Silva go mano a mano. We know that Chael Sonnen is the mouth that roared, Brendan, much like yourself, the Baron of Bloviation, the Lord of Loquaciousness, but he has to back it up in the cage tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Chael to back it up. You know, the trash talking has worked. Vanderlei has fallen for the bait, and now he's going to come out more aggressive, which plays into Chael's game plan. He wants to get this down to the mat. And if Wanderlei is emotional and he's really upset and he comes out, Chael's going to put him on his butt.
Look at the mind games that were played at the weigh-in between the axe murderer and Chael Sonnen.
Brendan, you hit it right on the head. Let me just tell you, Vanderlei can't afford to make this an emotional fight. He needs to keep the distance, let his punches go. Be very cautious of the double leg takedown right to the body lock. That's where Chael does his best work. Once the fight gets on the ground, look for Vanderlei to start looking for submissions and get up. Okay, he can't make this an emotional fight. If he does, it's gonna be a long night for Vanderlei Silva.
All right, the cauldron of enmity will reach a boiling point in the pay-per-view main event. But coming up next, it's the main event here at Bellator 180 as Phil Davis will defend the Bellator Light Heavyweight Championship against Bellator MMA newcomer, one of the top light heavyweights on the planet, Ryan Bader. It's next. It's the Bellator Light Heavyweight Championship live from Madison Square Garden.
Up next, Light Heavyweight World Champion, Bill Mr. Wonderful Davis.
Oh my God! Monstrous impact!
Defends his crown as Ryan Darth Bader makes his highly anticipated debut. It's the main event from Madison Square Garden when Bellator MMA live on Spike returns.
Our main event, live on Spike, is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. It's Miller time. The first time they met in January of 2015, Ryan Bader won by split decision. They will meet again tonight with the light heavyweight belt on the line.
I mean, if nobody else is going to volunteer for it, it's me. I am the best light heavyweight in Bellator.
Oh my God! Never in doubt.
Man, I don't even know what just happened. You knocked him out. Is that what happened?
You know, when I get a guy in a tough position, I want them to wonder, what about this looked cool when I saw it on TV?
Man, he's going hard for that Kimura. This guy is dangerous everywhere.
Phil Davis didn't just take that belt, he ripped it from the waist of Liam McGeary. That's why he has it.
The new light heavyweight world champion.
It's the cherry on top of your career. If you're the champion, you know, you're the best. You're the best in the entire world.
You're looking at the next light heavyweight champion right now because it's right here. I could be in grandma's basement or in Madison Square Garden. I'm gonna go out there to whoop your ass. That's it.
Ryan Bader, what he wants to do is come in and immediately be the man.
I've got a target on my back. You know, I'm coming over as the top 5 guy. A lot of people, they're gonna realize once they get in that cage with me, it's a different level.
Phil Davis lost to Ryan Bader the first time they fought. He wants that win back. This time, he's the champion.
In order to cultivate a tough mindset, it's a matter of being able to lose and getting up the next morning, coming in, facing the same guy again and saying, I'm gonna win. I'm ready to overwhelm him. I'm ready to get in his head and beat him from the inside out.
I gotta beat him down. I gotta crush him. I gotta take his soul. I just gotta mentally break him out there.
I don't have 5 rounds for this fight. You're gonna get one of 2 things. You're gonna get a knockout or you're gonna get a submission.
I'm here to wreck shop. I'm gonna put my stamp on this division. I'm gonna get that belt and I'm gonna retire with that belt.
I'm ready to overwhelm him and then I'm gonna break him physically. I won't allow it to be any other way. I will not allow it to be any other way.
Ready to make his way to the cage, Ryan Darth Bader.
Ryan Bader set to make his Bellator debut. 34 years old, 2-time Division I All-American at Arizona State. Jimmy, he has changed up everything. Jair Lorenzo from Novo União has been his main trainer. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Andre Pederneiras. We know the whole story. Ryan Bader said he's improved in the last 6 months more than any time in his professional career.
He said his coach came in with a stack of notes, a stack on Phil Davis, and they broke down every single aspect, every single attack, every defense. He said, I've never been more prepared for a fight. Let's see if he can implement it tonight.
All right, Jimmy, your keys to victory brought to you by KFC's new Spicy Crispy Zinger Sandwich. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Look at, he's got to impose his will. He's a big physical guy. He wants to be in the chest of Phil Davis and be ready for 5 rounds. He's in a championship fight. Rounds 4 and 5 are crucial.
Bader has had 4 non-title main event 5-round fights.
That's right.
light heavyweight world champion, Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis.
Back in their wrestling days, Phil Davis defeated Ryan Bader in 2004 and in 2005. Everybody knows by now that the first fight went to Bader by split decision at 4 a.m. in Stockholm, Sweden. When we asked Phil Davis the other day, Jimmy, what is he going to change? He said, the mistake I made is I did not come out with a high pace. He said, tonight, I will set the tempo immediately.
If you look at that fight, the word that leapt out to me was awkward. It was an awkward fight. No guy could really establish their game. And it's one of those things where in Bellator, he has momentum. He's looked fantastic. He's been a great finisher. Winning the Bellator tournament immediately at 205, got a submission and a knockout in order to get that belt, and then beat King Mo. Very close fight for that third round. It was his hands that were the difference. Almost finished King Mo on the feet and on the ground. And then against the champ, Liam McGeary, a one-sided wipeout. Top control, advancing to mount, pummeling the champ at will. That's why he's the champ. If Davis has momentum on his side, Bader might have preparation on his side. Which is more valuable?
All right, the keys for Mr. Wonderful, brought to you by KFC's new spicy, crispy zinger sandwich. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Cut the angles. Ryan Bader is best when he's moving forward. Don't be there when he comes at you. Also, he has great front chokes, great guillotine, anaconda darts. Use them to keep Ryan Bader thinking about that double A. He doesn't want to leave his neck hanging out.
Our tale of the tape for this, our main event of the evening, is brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sport.
You see the 5-inch reach advantage for Phil Davis. Go ahead. You've been waiting all night, man. Go ahead.
You're going to let me?
Go ahead, bro.
Everything else is virtually identical.
That's for the fans. Enjoy that one.
Thank you, partner. Here is Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, live on Spike, Bellator MMA, presented by Miller Lite from Madison Square Garden. The time has come for the Bellator 180 main event of the evening. 5 5-minute rounds for the Bellator Light Heavyweight World Championship. Sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. Tonight's world title fight is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. It's Miller time. And now, introducing the blue corner first, at 6'2", weighing in 204.4 pounds, one of the top light heavyweights in the world today. He makes his Bellator debut tonight, bringing 22 professional victories, 5 defeats, fighting out of Gilbert, Arizona, presenting the challenger, Ryan "Dog" Bader. And across the cage, the champion tonight fights out of the red corner at 6'2", weighing in 204.8 pounds. In his first defense of the title, he stands tonight with 17 professional victories, just 3 defeats. Fighting out of San Diego, California, introducing the defending Bellator Light Heavyweight World Champion, Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis. And when the bell rings, the referee in charge of the action, Dan Mergliata.
Ready, brother? All right, gentlemen, center, please. All right, gentlemen, been through the rules in the locker room. I want you to obey my commands at all times. I want you to protect yourselves at all times. This is for the title. If you guys want to touch gloves, do it now. Best of luck to both of you.
Dan Mergliata, our referee.
How's that? Got you in there?
Championship fight, scheduled for 5 5-minute rounds. Davis. Bader.
Are you ready, sir? Are you ready, sir? Let's go, fight.
Here we go. Tonight's fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Cheers. It's Miller time. Red gloves, the familiar pink shorts for Phil Davis. Blue gloves, black trunks for Ryan Bader.
Phil Davis said, I want to get that takedown working early. I didn't do that in the last fight. Man, you got to be wary of that against a high-level wrestler. It can cost you a lot of energy early on in a fight.
Ryan Bader stuffed all but one takedown attempt, and there were many in the first fight back in 2015. Here's number one.
Wasn't able to get that left arm down. Only had one arm on that takedown. Now Ryan Bader in a body lock position.
Ryan Bader, the winner of season 8 of The Ultimate Fighter, right here on Spike. 0 for 1. Bader showing a little southpaw here.
He says my striking has advanced so much in the last few months. Nice left hand. In the first fight, he was at his best. He was pushing off his punches, using those strikes to clear a lot of distance and push Phil Davis back. He isn't great necessarily at cutting angles and setting traps. He's a forward kind of striker.
Both men have serious power.
Phil Davis is the kind to angle and throw a looping shot over the top. That's how their styles differ when it comes to the striking. Like that, loopy shots.
Bader won his last 2 fights in the UFC before coming over to Bellator. Phil Davis 4-0 inside the Bellator cage. Fans are loving it. We got a ton of great stuff still to come live on pay-per-view, top of the hour. Title on the line here live on Spike. Great to be with you, Mike Goldberg, Jimmy Smith. More Ronaldo.
Nice angle on those leg kicks.
Can he stuff it again? Yep.
Same problem. Look at that. Reached low with the right hand, but the left hand was too high. Bader got underneath it. He's got to commit with both hands.
Brendan Schaub, Josh Thompson, Jen Brown. Phil Davis 0 for 2. Midway point of round 1.
When it comes to high-level wrestling, it has to be perfect. Your margin of error is very, very slim if you want to take down a guy like Ryan Bader.
And this is not just wrestling.
Yep.
This is MMA wrestling.
Yes, very true. They've been at distance where it's been hard to get that takedown going.
And we've talked about the difference between wrestling and MMA wrestling many times.
Yes.
Well,
with different people, but we have discussed it.
We haven't talked about it.
You've heard us at home.
I talked about it with Joe, and you talked about it with Sean.
There you go. So we both talked about it.
We have talked about it.
But that strategy Phil Davis has had, how I'm going to go in and use my wrestling early. So far, it hasn't panned out. Crowd's starting to get on him. They're both painfully aware that it was a painful fight last time. They're aware of that. Fans were not happy.
Phil ducked under there and almost delivered a good counter left. Again, Ryan Bader in the southpaw stance. Look at that.
So far this round almost dead even. Phil Davis, I think, a little bit more active. He's gone for a couple takedowns. Ryan Bader a little bit more accurate, I think, with the strikes, but hasn't thrown much.
Anytime you work your striking game with someone involved with Noble Unyao, that is a good thing.
Fantastic team all the way around.
Renan Barão was even in Phoenix training with Ryan Bader, CB Dalloway and the crew there.
I got to train with them when I was down in Brazil, just in jiu-jitsu, and it was a meat grinder.
Good
Unbelievable.
Idea. I'm sure that hurt, but good idea not standing up.
I was on vacation. I'm not trading punches with those guys.
Let Aldo kick you just once. Off the forearm, and a return by Davis. Quick jab by Bader. Reaching the end of round 1. More than anything, Jimmy, this first round, mutual respect.
Good job, guys.
Sonnen takes on bitter rival Vanderlei Silva. Fedor battles Matt Mitrione, and Bellator champions Douglas Lima and Michael Chandler put their gold on the line. Top of the hour, Bellator NYC live on pay-per-view. Order right now. Going to be a great night.
Let's go, fight.
Round 2. Eric Del Fierro, longtime trainer for Phil Davis in San Diego. Alliance MMA said, if he keeps moving, we need to GSP him. Look for the 1-3-2.
We talked earlier on this card about GSP and his jab, his ability to set everything up off that lead hand. Problem with the takedown, I think partly in round one, is there weren't great setups. He wasn't getting Ryan Bader to bite on any of the strikes he was throwing, so he kind of had to dive in. Well, you're not going to take Ryan Bader down with that. You got to hurt him with something, pop him in the nose, then maybe you can set up that takedown.
Davis has only lost 3 times in his career, and they've all come by decision. One to Bader, of course, the split decision. The other 2 by unanimous decision to Rashad Evans and Rumble, Anthony Johnson.
He's really winging that left hook. The reason I gave the first round 10-9 to Phil Davis, he was just more active. This right now, he's just a little busier, throwing a little bit more. Neither guy has really landed anything significant, but Phil Davis has been leading it a little bit. He's been moving, he's been throwing a bit more. Activity levels why I gave him round 1, but still a close round.
So despite the fact he couldn't get a takedown in the first 5 minutes, you still thought
still
he
going
had a
for
little edge.
Yeah, still going for it. Still trying to be the aggressor, still trying to get the fight to the ground.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think that way, Jimmy. Like, you know, you are going for the takedown instead of you didn't succeed.
Yeah, no credit for defense. It's who's trying to get it done. So far, it's Phil Davis. Not by a whole lot. Very close fight.
I mean, Phil's career has really been the story of the takedown. In the Rumble fight, Anthony Johnson stuffed all 8 attempts. When Phil Davis beat Glover Teixeira, he took Glover down 9 times.
Yeah, he lives and dies with the takedown.
Absolutely. Both of these guys, high-level light heavyweights for years. Top of the food chain. One's the Bellator champion, the other in his first championship fight.
One thing about taking on a guy who moves as much as Phil Davis, you have to throw a lot of strikes. You're not going to catch him with the first one, the second one. Maybe the third or fourth will do it. And right now, Ryan Bader really stuck in a 2-punch mode. He hasn't thrown those long combinations you need to hit a guy who's moving a lot. Phil Davis really moving a lot.
Over the top, Bader saw it coming. Still can't get him down. But he tried.
He tried. He's going for it.
Right.
Points for aggression. Nice body, kid.
Rafael Gomez also worked the striking in Bader's camp for this fight. He's worked with guys like Jose Aldo. Totally different vibe for Ryan Bader as he makes his Bellator debut. Right to the top. Originally it was supposed to be King Mo. Instead, it's a title fight, and that's good for everybody.
That's an upgrade.
That is an upgrade, and we love it.
Love King Mo. Great fighter, but the belt being on the line, that adds something to this fight for sure.
To a really cool night.
Yes. So far, it's looking a lot like the first fight. Not a whole lot of activity in terms of significant strikes. Both guys really trying to find their rhythm, but the target is elusive. What does that lead to, Goldie? Tough rounds to score.
Yes.
Scorecards that could be all over the place.
Which could lead to a very close split decision that the guy who lost really disagrees with. Which
As they almost always do.
Yeah, which I think already happened. 30. Heavy kick. Bader, faked the shot, came over the top.
If he can come back in his last 20 seconds and do some damage and maybe take this round. So far, I feel Davis ahead barely, basically based on activity.
Final seconds of round 2.
Why
Right now, live on pay-per-view, they finally fight. Chael Sonnen, Vanderlei Silva, Fedor enters the Bellator cage for the first time. Matt Mitrione, his opponent, 2 titles on the line. Round 3. About 20 minutes away from our live pay-per-view. Before that, somebody's gonna leave this cage with a belt around their waist. So far, Jimmy, it's pretty tough to tell which guy.
Yeah, very, very tough.
Bader again switches the stance.
You wonder how much that feeling for Phil Davis of, you know, I didn't quite do enough last time. I didn't quite put my stamp on the rounds like I should have. How much that stays with him tonight? How much is he going to turn it up? Feeling that, man, I just didn't do enough last time. Will that motivate him? Because right now, this fight looks like the last fight, which could go either way.
And both men said they didn't like the first fight. And both men have evolved greatly since that first fight.
Oh, Superman punch. Nice left. Both of those landed.
Yep, the Superman punch and then the follow-up. That was the best combination of the fight for Davis.
Best so far.
Bader.
A lot of times, Bader's letting Phil Davis initiate, trying to counter over the top.
Third 5-round fight of Phil Davis's career. Fourth 5-round fight of Ryan Bader's career. Up the middle.
What's interesting is they both had little moments, but it's nothing they can easily replicate. It's like both guys are moving, they're throwing stuff. Sometimes stuff is landing, but neither guy has found, like, okay, this is how I'm going to beat the other guy on the feet.
Yep.
They haven't found the path to success on the feet yet.
On the feet is where this entire fight has taken place, too.
No one's successful to take down yet. Davis has tried, it hasn't worked. Bader has to follow up on things like that. If he snaps the head back, got to come back with the right, the left, over the top, 3-4 punches.
He's got that heavy overhand right.
And he's hit him a couple times with the jab. But it's been one and done both times in this round.
Had the highlight reel finish with that vicious knee in Germany on Alir Latifi. Perfectly timed.
This crowd already on it. They're a little spoiled. We got a lot of finishes tonight.
That's a great point.
Tough acts to follow early on in the card. For those of you who didn't catch it, man, James Gallagher, he looked incredibly impressive. Great stuff all night.
Bader opened his MMA career with 13 straight victories, 5 of those in the UFC. His first professional loss to some young dude named John Jones.
Never heard of him.
Me neither.
He's good.
He's decent.
Heard stuff.
Yeah.
No shame in that loss.
No shame. Lead uppercut. Phil Davis able to elude damage once again. Under a minute here in the third.
Ryan Bader hasn't really found a home for his power punches. He's landed once or twice with the jab in this round. Hasn't been able to follow it up with the right hand, the left hook, any power kicks. Add that 2 or 3, he might be able to catch Phil Davis, but so far it's been 1s and 2s, and that's not quite enough.
Keep an eye on the kicks that are blocked by the forearm, because those will break a forearm.
Oh, they suck.
There's the takedown, first of the fight, and it's Bader. Look at the clock, though, Jimmy, just 15 seconds Remains here in the third, but a big takedown late
for the guillotine.
Bader.
Not going to get it.
Davis on top. Championship rounds. Phil Davis has gone the distance twice. The 5-round distance, he is 1-1 in those fights. Bader went the distance, 5 rounds in a non-title main event against Ovince St. Preux and won by unanimous decision. Jimmy, how do you have it?
I have it 3-0 for Phil Davis. He landed the right hook, left combo is the best sequence of the fight so far. It's almost exclusively activity in the first 2 rounds. He's just been a little busier. He cannot feel good about the scorecard right now. I don't feel good about it. I'm not sure about the first 2 rounds. Even round number 3 maybe, but it's the fact that neither guy's landed much, has done much for the judges to score. That's the hard part. Looks a lot like their first fight. Wouldn't be surprised if the scorecards are all over the place.
You gotta give the judges something to judge. Look at me, come here.
You just said has to give the judges something.
You gotta fight. Come on, you're paid to fight. Hands up, ready, time in, fight!
You know when that happens, it's not a lot of activity. A lot of people right now giving Ryan Bader the first 2 rounds, sure. You certainly could. Depends on what you're looking at. My point is, neither guy has had that decisive round. Hasn't happened yet.
Davis changed levels there, tried to come over the top. Bader fights it off again. Nicely
best punch of the fight for him.
Absolutely. Counter uppercut.
If the combination was there, he might catch Phil at the end of his punches. Phil tends to get out of position, he tends to lean into shots, he tends to be off balance a lot. Nice head kick. Only caught the back of the head, though, just grazed him.
Right now, top of the hour. 10 in the East, 7 in the West. It is the ultimate grudge match. Chael Sonnen and Vanderlei Silva. Chael and I were actually in the movie Grudge Match.
Yeah, we were. Heard he was fun to work with on that. Had quite the jokes.
He's actually got a lot of personality. I don't know if you know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Hardly ever talked. Quiet guy. Hardly ever talked.
Yeah. Very introverted.
Yeah. Comes out of his shell in a way in though.
Yeah, he does. Man, Phil's really trying to wing that counter overhand right. Bader with the question mark kick. So first title fight in Bader's MMA career. He was always knocking on the door.
Always right there.
Yep. And couldn't get past that title contender matchup. Those are heavy.
Those guys look like they're trying to counter punch, trying to catch the other guy off balance. Not being aggressive and initiating with more than one shot.
One minute. They split jabs.
They talked about how much them proved how much they didn't like the first fight, you know, time in the morning and all this stuff. But I think this is what you get when you get these two guys together. They have a healthy respect for one another. They're both hard to take down. Yeah, it's just one of those things that this is how their styles match up. They're very, very respectful. It's hard for them to land.
A couple of good knees landed in the midsection of Bader. And it's probably 4 a.m. in Sweden right now as well.
Let's put it that way.
Round 4 in the books. American Gangster and the Axe Murderer collide live on pay-per-view. Still to come, or coming up next.
However you want to say it, Goldie.
However we do tonight, Jimmy. Been a blast. 5th and final round.
I gave the last round to Ryan Bader, who had the most significant strike of the round. He's finding his range a little bit better, but once again, a close one.
So overall, you have it 3 rounds to 1.
3 rounds
Davis.
to 1, yes.
Okay.
But none of those rounds were significantly in either guy's camp. Wouldn't surprise me if the scorecards are all over the board.
We've seen that.
Yeah, many, many times. Oh, good stuff. When they lock up, you see Ryan Bader just so much stronger. So that's great wrestler, maybe slicker, a little more technique, but when it's strength against strength, Ryan Bader, he flings them.
He's a very strong, powerful, dangerous dude. And Aaron Simpson, who fought professional MMA and was an assistant coach at ASU with Cain Velasquez and CB Dalloway and Ryan, said Ryan's just mean. He's just a mean training partner, mean fighter. He hadn't been as mean as I would think the A-Train would want him to be thus far, but he's got 3 minutes and 50 seconds to do so still. Just get mean. Look to finish this and take all the mystery out of it.
Now, as a fighter, when you take on somebody better and you get beat, there's some solace in that. He's better than me, he beat me. When you think, I just didn't do enough, I just didn't quite do enough, that's a haunting feeling. And right now, so far in this fight, both guys can feel that way. They need to really let it all out in round 5.
And that's how Phil felt, pardon me, about the first meeting.
Yeah, could have done a little bit more.
Yep.
Because this could go either way to the judges, and either way would be appropriate. But it's, you know, the guy who lost is going to go, man, if I just finished a little stronger, if I'd done a little bit more.
If it's a Bader win, they go, okay. If it's a Davis win, I can argue that as well.
Yeah.
The fans excited for the pay-per-view. The Last Emperor, Fedor, Bellator cage. It is going to happen. And don't forget, Vanderlei Silva, Chael Sonnen. 2 main events from here inside the Mecca. Past the midway point of the 5th and final round. Takedown number 2 for Bader.
And so Phil Davis goes right to the wrestling escape. He doesn't try and turn and get guard. He hops right back to his feet, just like you would in a collegiate wrestling match. Bader can't keep him down. That takedown could give him the edge in the scoring.
I was thinking
very close round.
Yep.
Had some success with that counter uppercut, that counter right hand.
90 seconds.
It's been his inability to really follow up on those strikes that he's been able to land.
Bader southpaw back, orthodox. See if somebody really wings it.
Phil Davis has been winging it a lot, but not able to connect.
Nope. There's the overhand right from Bader.
Bader has a big head, but it's been just out of line. He's been moved just enough to avoid the big winging shots of Phil Davis.
Under a minute. goes under. A lot of swelling under the left eye of Phil Davis. Bader turning it up here in the fifth.
Come on, guys, finish strong. Let's go. Come on. Good timing on the takedown so far. Wasn't able to get that one. He hasn't lunged for them. He's waited for Phil Davis to come in. That's why he's been more successful with him.
Final seconds of the fight. They go the distance. We will find out who will leave with the belt. That is coming up next, right here on Spike. Jimmy R. Blackheart Premium Spiced Rum Replay, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
Well, unfortunately, it looked a lot like the first fight. Both guys throwing, not landing a whole lot of significant strikes. Phil Davis trying to initiate. Ryan Bader taking his time, trying to land counter punches, getting a couple of takedowns, but a lot of back and forth rounds with no decisive winner. It's going to be interesting to see what the judges have to say.
Will Davis defend, or will Bader be the new Bellator light heavyweight champion?
One thing to keep in mind, a lot of judges have that old school, you have to take it from the champ mentality.
Yep, true.
Might work against Ryan Bader, we'll see. They shouldn't, but a lot of them do.
I know what you're saying. With the official decision, Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we'll go to your three judges at cage side. Your first judge, Sal D'Amato, scores the fight 49-46. He sees the fight for Bader. Your second judge, Jeff Mullen, scores the fight 48-47. He sees the fight for Davis. Your third and final judge, Derek Cleary, scores the fight 49-46. For the winner by split decision, and now the new Bellator Light Heavyweight World Champion, Ryan Bader.
Ryan Bader is the new Bellator champion. We will talk to Ryan Bader later on pay-per-view. The night continues. Order right now. 5 more fights. Ryan Bader, congratulations. You are the new champion.